The tension on the deck finally snaps like a frayed rope, replaced by the familiar, salt-tossed rhythm of the Thousand Sunny. You shift your weight, bracing Alex's heavy arm over your shoulders. He smells of ozone and deep-sea minerals, the fading heat of his skin a comforting weight against yours. You look over at Nami, who is already calculating the cost of the scorched grass with a pained expression.
Don't worry, Nami. I've got the Black Inferno under control. I'll make sure he stays put in his quarters until his legs stop shaking. But someone else is on soot-scrubbing duty. I think I've done enough heavy lifting for one afternoon.
Deal. Usopp, get the brushes. And Alex, if you burn the bedsheets, it's coming out of your treasure share.
Alex lets out a muffled, tired groan against your neck, his fingers weakly curling into the fabric of your robe.
Noted, navigator. Though Wyndra's a much better pillow than a treasure chest anyway.
Hey, don't get too comfortable, you lucky shadow bastard. I'm bringing the recovery soup, and I'd better not see any black celestial funny business.
You lead the stumbling swordsman away from the chaos of the deck, his steps growing heavier with every meter. By the time you reach the quiet wood-paneled hallway leading to the cabins, he's almost entirely dead weight, his breathing deep and rhythmic. You manage to maneuver him through his door, the room still carrying the faint scent of the whetstones he uses for kokuyo. You ease Alex onto the edge of his bunk. The room is dim, the only light coming from the swaying lantern and the faint, lingering starlight in his eyes. He doesn't let go of your hand. Instead, he pulls you down beside him, his exhaustion fighting with a clear desire to keep you close after the terrifying intensity of the awakening. You ease Alex onto the edge of his bunk, the sturdy wood creaking under his weight. The transition from a cosmic entity of black fire back to a mortal man has left him drained, his shoulders slumped, and his usually sharp eyes heavy with the need for sleep. You can't help the playful tug at your lips as you look at the black inferno of the straw hats reduced to a sleepy, soot-stained heap.
You know, for a black celestial, you look much less intimidating when you're about to start drooling on your pillow. Stay put, spaceman. I'm going to fetch your recovery soup before you try to eat the mattress.
Alex lets out a soft, huffed laugh, the sound vibrating weakly in the small cabin. He reaches out, his fingers brushing against your emerald robe with a lingering warmth that has nothing to do with his devil fruit.
Hard to be intimidating when my legs feel like overcooked noodles. Just don't let Sanji put any love spices in the soup, or I'll never hear the end of it.
You slip out of the cabin, leaving him to sink into the blankets. The hallway of the Sunny is quiet, a stark contrast to the mechanical screaming of the temple. As you emerge onto the deck, the evening sun is dipping toward the horizon, painting the new world in shades of bruised purple and gold. Sanji is already crossing the grass with a steaming tray, his brow furrowed in concentration. He stops when he sees you, his expression softening instantly as he balances the bowl of thick, protein-rich broth.
Ah, Wyndra Chuan. I was just bringing the Voidwalker his sustenance. Is he decent, or did he try to set the bed on fire again?
The smell of the soup is heavenly. Rich herbs and seared meat designed to replenish even the most exhausted pirate. Sanji holds the tray out to you, his eyes searching yours for a sign of how Alex is truly faring after the awakening. The golden hour light stretches across the grassy deck, catching the steam rising from Sanji's silver tray. The aroma of slow-simmered sea king tail and medicinal herbs is thick enough to make even your own stomach growl. But your thoughts are still focused on the exhausted swordsman behind the cabin door.
Actually, Sanji, do you have a second spoon? I think the Black Inferno might need a little help hitting his mouth in this state.
Sanji freezes, his heart-shaped eyes practically throbbing with a mix of culinary pride and tragic, chivalrous defeat. Sanji freezes, his heart-shaped eyes practically throbbing with a mix of culinary pride and tragic, chivalrous defeat. He reaches into his apron pocket, producing a polished silver spoon with a flourish that suggests he's been prepared for this exact moment of romantic service.
A second spoon, to be fed by the hands of a goddess while he lounges like a king. That lucky flame-brained bastard. Take it, Wyndra Chuan. But tell him if he spills a single drop on your beautiful robe, I'll kick him back into the black celestial void myself.
Sanji stomps off toward the galley, muttering about unbalanced cosmic justice, while you carefully balance the tray and head back into the quiet of the living quarters. The cabin is cool and dim, the only sound being the rhythmic creak of the ship's hull. Alex has already kicked off his boots, his tall frame sprawled awkwardly across the bunk. He looks up as you enter, the white star glow in his eyes now just a faint, flickering ember of warmth.
You came back, and you brought... Is that Sanji's special recovery broth? I could smell it through the door.
You set the tray on the small bedside stool and sit on the edge of the mattress. The space is intimate, the air still humming with the fading energy of his awakening. You dip the spoon into the rich, dark broth and blow on it gently, the steam curling around your fox ears. The cabin sways with a gentle, rhythmic creak, the wood grain of the walls glowing amber in the low light of the swinging lantern. You dip the silver spoon into the rich, aromatic broth, the steam curling around your fingers as you bring it to his lips.
Open up, spaceman. This is Sanji's best work, and I'm not letting it go to waste while you're busy staring at the ceiling.
Alex shifts against the pillows, a faint, weary smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. He obeys, his dark eyes never leaving yours as he takes the first sip. As you pull the spoon away, you lean in just a fraction closer, your white fox ears twitching as you study the remnants of his awakening. Deep within his pupils, the white-hot starlight hasn't fully faded. It flickers like distant pulsars against the dark void of his gaze, a reminder of the cosmic power he now commands.
You're looking for it, aren't you? The fire. It's still there, Wyndra, but it's not hungry anymore. Not for the world, anyway.
He reaches up, his hand much steadier now, and brushes a stray lock of hair behind your ear. His touch is warm, perfectly, humanly warm, without the scorching intensity of the black celestial.
I think I finally understand why Luffy fights so hard for his crew. When I was out there, in that void, the only thing that kept me from drifting away was the thought of coming back to this cabin, to you.
He sits up slightly more, the blankets pooling around his waist as the strength returns to his frame. The bowl of soup sits between you, forgotten for a heartbeat as the air in the small room grows thick with a different kind of heat, one that has nothing to do with devil fruits and everything to do with the way he's looking at your lips. The silver spoon clinks softly as you rest it against the rim of the porcelain bowl, the steam from Sanji's broth still curling between you like a ghostly ribbon. You reach out, your fingers sliding into the familiar, calloused palm of the man who just held the weight of a dying temple. As your fingers lace together, a faint, rhythmic thrum vibrates through his skin, not the violent roar of the black celestial, but the steady, powerful drumbeat of a pirate who has survived the impossible.
There it is. That's the only anchor I need, Wyndra. Your hand in mine. It's the only thing that keeps the shadows from feeling like a lonely place.
He squeezes your hand, his thumb tracing the back of your knuckles with a lingering, possessive warmth. The small cabin feels even smaller now, the air thick with the scent of wood smoke and the salt of the sea. The flickering lantern casts long, dancing shadows against the bulkheads, but for the first time since the lagoon, the darkness doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like a sanctuary.
I could have stayed in that void forever, you know. Seeing the stars from the inside, it was beautiful. but it didn't have this.
It didn't have your heartbeat.
He pulls your hand up to his chest, pressing your palm directly over his heart. You can feel the heat of his skin through his thin undershirt, a vibrant, living furnace that is finally cooling into something tender. He leans forward, his forehead resting against yours, his messy black hair brushing against your fox ears. The soup is cooling on the stool, forgotten. Alex's breathing is heavy, but his strength is returning with every second your skin touches his. He shifts on the narrow bunk, making room for you in the dim light of the cabin, his dark eyes searching yours for an invitation to go further than just holding hands. The narrow bunk creaks as you shift your weight, sliding onto the firm mattress beside him. The space is tight, forced by the practical design of a pirate ship, but the closeness feels like the only natural conclusion to a day spent defying ancient gods and collapsing temples. You reach out, your fingers threading through his messy black hair, and gently guide his head down until it rests in the soft curve of your neck and shoulder.
Yeah. Okay. This is better than any star in the sky.
He lets out a long, heavy breath that fans warm against your skin, his entire body finally losing the rigid tension of the black celestial form. One of his large, calloused hands finds your waist, pulling you flush against him as he buries his face into the crook of your neck. The faint scent of wood smoke and ozone still clings to him, but it's being overtaken by the familiar, grounding smell of the sea.
Don't go anywhere, Wyndra. Even if I start snoring like Luffy, just stay.
I don't want to wake up and think the temple was the only thing that was real.
You feel his heartbeat slowing, syncing with the gentle roll of the thousand Sunny as she cuts through the New World waves. The lantern swings in a lazy arc, casting long, golden shadows across the room. His grip on your waist loosens just a fraction as sleep begins to pull him under, his breathing turning into a deep, rhythmic hum that vibrates against your collarbone. The black inferno is finally silent, his head heavy and warm against you. The soup on the stool has gone cold, but the heat between the two of you in the dim cabin is more than enough to keep the night at bay. You watch the faint, silver starlight pulse one last time behind his closed eyelids before he drifts into a true, restorative slumber. The cabin is a cocoon of cedar and salt. The only light the rhythmic amber pulse of the swaying lantern. Alex's weight is a grounding reality against your side, his breathing already deepening into the heavy, unconscious rhythm of a man who has touched the void and returned. You lean in, the soft fur of your fox ears brushing against his temple as you bring your lips close to his ear.
You know, for a black celestial who can command gravity and space, your snoring sounds remarkably like a leaky steam pipe. I hope the stars aren't as loud as you're about to be.
Stars don't have pillows like this.
He lets out one last, contented huff, his head settling more firmly into the crook of your neck. You shift slightly, lacing your fingers through his as you pull the dark, heavy blankets up over both of you. The chill of the New World night is kept at bay by the lingering, natural furnace of his skin. You close your eyes, the gentle creak of the thousand sunny acting as a lullaby, and for a few hours, the world of emperors and ancient weapons ceases to exist. The soft gray light of pre-dawn eventually filters through the small porthole, casting a pale glow over the cabin. You wake to the sound of rhythmic thumping on the deck above, not the frantic pace of battle, but the steady, heavy footfalls of someone performing morning drills. Outside the cabin door, the familiar metallic asterisk clink asterisk of weights and the sharp asterisk swish of a blade cutting the air signals that the ship's first mate is already at work. Alex stirs beside you, his dark eyes fluttering open. The white starlight in his pupils has vanished, replaced by a clear, rested warmth as he realizes you're still there, wrapped in his arms.
Morning, son. I didn't dream you then. And I think Zorro's trying to wake the entire ocean with those weights.
The domestic peace of the cabin is a rare treasure, but the sounds of the crew starting their day suggest that the adventure hasn't waited for you to finish your recovery. Alex stretches, his muscles rippling under his skin, looking remarkably refreshed for someone who was a silhouette of cosmic fire only hours ago.